The big one. Extremely dangerous. Keep out of reach of children. Cool. What am I gonna blow?
Hi, I'm Joe.
And I'm Tiana.
And this is Next Door Villain,
a podcast where we uncover the villains to discover their humanity.
You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. And I don't know where this intro's going, but you got a friend in me. Welcome to Next Door Villain Podcast. I don't know if you could tell or not, but that was my rendition of You've Got a Friend in Me by Randy Newman. Is that right?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay. If you are our age or anywhere near our age, which is in the late 20s, you know this.
Almost 30.
Almost 30. I'm turning 30 next month, actually. Less than a month away.
Wow.
Well, more than a month away. Anyways, if you're around our age, then you know this song because of the iconic 1995 Pixar film Toy Story.
Yeah. I'm really glad that we're in a singing mode this month.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because, yeah, I sang the last episode. You sang this one.
Ah, okay. I did forget about that.
So I'm really glad that I could inspire you to open up and try out singing with your voice.
Yeah, it wasn't in my plans when we started this episode, but I couldn't think of any other way to introduce it. It was the only iconic Toy Story thing I could think of in the seconds I had to think of it. So obviously we're talking about Toy Story, and of course the villain, the evil little punk kid from next door, Sid Phillips.
Sid
is his full name.
Sid Phillips.
Yeah.
You know his last name.
Yes. And I rewatched Toy Story today for the first time in many years, and I was so impressed at how well the film was made, at how good the writing was. Like, some of the jokes were legitimately funny as an adult.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff I missed when I was a child watching the film. And I also was struck by, in my mind, Sid was such a tiny part of this film, but he actually loomed fairly large in it, and he has a lot of great screen time.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, my memory from when watching it as a kid, I didn't remember Sid that much, but I do remember being really terrified of his toys that would come out, because one of them had like a baby head with a spider, and then like the Barbie legs one. I was like, that is horrendous. When I was 8 or whenever I saw that movie, I was like, that is disgusting. But now that I'm older and wiser, I appreciated it a lot more.
Yeah.
But
yeah, those toys were scary, and honestly, they are scary. Like, if those things were in real life, they would be pretty terrifying. Yeah. Sid growing up in my mind was just an absolute jerk face bully kid, and I hated him. I was scared of him. I was, scared of kids in my life that were like him. So it was exciting to revisit and look at him from a new lens as an adult. And I think I definitely came away with a different understanding and appreciation for who Sid is as a person.
Yeah. He looks like one of those kids that will grow up and in his 20s or in his teenage years be a guy who drinks way too much Monster energy drinks.
Absolutely. I think you've nailed it.
I was like, I know a lot of guys like that.
Yeah. In Toy Story 3, I think, they make a little allusion to him at that time in his life, and he's like a garbage man, and he's like kind of like jamming out with headphones on and picking up the garbage and throwing it in the truck and rocking out.
Yeah.
Very, very Monster Energy vibe, I felt.
Yeah, right. But hey, I mean, he had a job. That's a very responsible job to have, so I'm proud of him.
Yeah, and we're led to believe that he stopped torturing toys.
Yeah.
They mentioned that in Toy Story 3.
Oh, really? He
Yeah.
stopped?
Yeah, that he was so he was so terrified. Before we get into too much more detail on the Sid story, we got to do that thing we do every episode where we try our best to explain everything we can about the character in 30 seconds or less with no prior preparation. And if you're listening from home, or if you're listening from anywhere you might be listening from, it doesn't have to be at home, you can go to Spotify and vote for who you think does a better job at this 30-second intro. It's a fun little challenge we do. There's not really any big stakes to it, but...
Are there going to be any stakes this time?
I didn't think about it, but it seems like you have an idea.
I'm trying to think of something that doesn't entail doing something weird to toys. I don't have any of those anymore, but...
I don't like the idea, just the phrase doing something weird to toys immediately brings some things to mind that I don't want to be thinking about.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. I mean, if you have them, just kidding. Oh, okay, maybe whoever loses this one, they have to do a reenactment of being scared of a moving toy or being scared of a toy that has come to life. So you have to like act out your reaction to that.
Okay.
If you lose.
Right. The loser of this 30-second challenge will perform
a dramatic interpretation
of being scared by a toy coming to life.
All right. I think you went first last time.
Yeah, I think so
I'll go
too.
first now.
All right. Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So Sid is a really hyperactive boy, and he likes to shoot off toys for fun, blow them up, and a lot of the other toys are scared of him. And towards the end of the movie, in Toy Story 1, he almost blows up Buzz, but then he's stopped by Woody, who unveils himself and shows him as like a living, breathing toy, and that freaks Sid out a whole lot, and he runs away, really traumatized, and it's quite the story.
All right, good work.
Thank you. All right, your turn.
All right.
Go.
Sid Phillips is a young boy with a very creative mind. He likes to take apart his toys and reassemble them in interesting ways. He also likes to blow things up, and he likes to shoot off his toys with rockets, do other cool things. He's got a little bit of an aggressive streak, but otherwise just your classic young teenage boy stuff until one day he's playing with his toys and they come to life and they sort of like start coming towards him, and they're really creepy and scary, and he changes his ways, and then that's it.
I'm so nice. I gave you 6 more seconds because I'm nice.
You didn't tell me you gave me 6 more seconds though.
True. Also, don't forget the dog.
I did forget the dog.
He owns a dog.
Yeah. Pretty scary dog that
Yeah.
is very aggressive.
And I gotta admit, I do feel bad that his sister's toys have their heads off because he takes the heads and puts them on other toys.
Mm-hmm.
And his sister just like plays with these headless dolls. And I'm like, hey, whatever works. I mean, toys are pretty adaptable. You can apparently take their heads off and they're still alive. So they are more resilient than humans in some ways.
So speaking of him ripping his head off his sister's toys, I really felt watching this film that Sid, for the most part, didn't technically do anything wrong. Like, he's villainous because of the perspective we look at him from, but ultimately, like, he doesn't know that the toys are sentient. And
right, yeah.
And why would he know the toys are sentient? The toys do everything they can to convince people that they aren't. So, like, when he's performing surgery on them and recreating them, he's just being like creative. And so what if his creations are a little creepy? It's still kind of cool that he's able to do that. I mean, he makes some cool looking creatures. The spider leg thing with the doll head. I really like the leg one, the legs on the fishing pole toy. Like, really, I don't think we can dock him for doing that because he doesn't know they're sentient. But I think we can dock him for treating his sister very poorly and like torturing her by ripping her toys' heads off and scaring her.
Yeah. So I'm an only child, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming that siblings in general do somewhat not horrendously mean things to each other, but like mildly mean things to each other when growing up that are just kind of like fun. Like, I'll take your toy and I'll rip it off and I'll keep it. And haha. Yeah,
I think that's pretty normal among children.
Yeah, and I didn't know, like, did you know that toys have feelings?
No.
Me neither.
And I think it's a work of fiction, perhaps, created by Pixar. I don't know for sure, but...
We also have to stop acting like we've been perfect to our toys Too, because like I've done weird stuff to toys as a kid. Like when I was little, when I was sitting in the back seat of the car, like on a long road trip, I would take my Barbies and I would take their shirts off and I would rub their boobies against the window, and then like show it to drivers as they drove past. So that was probably kind of confusing for them. But I loved like taking their shirts off and then like rubbing it on places.
What was the appeal there?
I mean, maybe because I didn't have boobies at the time, and so I was very maybe fascinated by them. Like there's just these like big plastic mountains on this doll, and I don't know what to do with it. I don't know. This was before Barbie went through a revamp of like being more body positive, because like I think maybe I was just taken aback by like the small waist, big boobs, beautiful hair kind of thing. And then I would like analyze it and be like, okay, this is really weird. And then just rub her on things because that was interesting. Yeah. And I think I have taken some heads off of Barbies because I'm a spawn of a mammoth.
Yeah. I think it's pretty normal to experiment with your toys a little bit. I can't think of any particular examples of doing anything bad, but I'm sure I did like weird stuff when I was really little. I mean, I have a stuffed animal that I performed an operation on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you just unlocked something. I didn't do this with toys, but I used to do surgery on worms. Oh, it was bad. I did a lot of surgery on worms.
What?
And they were living.
Yeah.
They were living beings from the earth.
They may not be sentient, but they clearly are alive.
Yeah.
So arguably you're worse than Sid.
Yeah, because I would kill worms. Of course, I thought to myself, like, oh, it's just a little bug, and I'd pretend that I'm saving its life, and I would cut it open. And I was so fascinated by the gooiness and what would come out of it. I would cut it in different ways. Yeah, I really liked worms. So yeah, I'm worse than Sid.
Yeah, so given your history with toys and animals and...
I mean, I didn't do anything bad with animals.
What do you think a worm is?
An insect.
Is it insect, not an animal?
A biologist might disagree. They're in different animal categories.
Yeah, but it's like still categories of animals.
I'll need to look that up.
Anyways, so forget the animal thing. I'm willing to overlook that because I have certainly stuck enough hooks through worms and then fed them to fish.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
life.
I guess if you fish.
Yeah, I've certainly killed plenty of worms. Anyways, I'm wondering if one of the Barbies that you were rubbing against the glass window of your car suddenly turned around and asked you to stop, how would you react? Like, if one day your toys became sentient, how would you respond? Like,
yeah, can you imagine like a Barbie just like turning her head and she's like, "You skank. Look at you. Stop it." That's what she would sound like because Barbie is really sassy.
I mean, I would think that there's something wrong with me. My first thought wouldn't be, "Oh, the toys have come to life." I think it would be what is going on with me that's causing me to, have a mental breakdown, I think. Because that's just so absurd.
Right. Yeah, it's frustrating because if you ever told someone, they would be like, "You're going to child psychologist."
Mm-hmm.
I just think I would be extremely terrified and I wouldn't ever touch a toy again.
So same reaction as Sid, really.
Yeah, exactly. Or I would be like, "I knew it. I was right. They are real." Or I would be like, "Hey, Barbie, can you cure my loneliness?"
You would have adopted Barbie as your sibling.
"I'm an only child. Could you just like stay here forever?" And then we'd grow up and we'd get old together. And I'd be like this weird old lady at the end of my life sitting in the nursing home with this Barbie. And I would tell one of the nurses in my room, I would say, "I have a secret to tell you now that I'm getting to the end of my life. That Barbie is real." And the nurse would be like, "Okay, that's cool."
No, she'd be like, "Yeah.
Why don't you go to bed?"
She'd be like, "Yeah, that Barbie's real. It's a doll."
Or I would be like, "That Barbie speaks to me, has spoken to me, and has been my best friend since childhood." The nurse is like, "Why don't we take your meds now? Go to sleep."
So Sid,
So Sid.
how do you empathize with this boy?
I have a very important point to make. And I think maybe you might have it, but we'll see. We can assume the following: that Sid's act of blowing up toys is an act of activism. He's bringing awareness to the fact that as people have spent an upwards of $1.2 trillion on toys up until now, these unrecyclable toys are just adding to the climate change turmoil that we're facing.
Wait, sorry.
Plastic
sorry.
toys contribute...
We can assume this?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Plastic toys contribute to global warming when plastics originate from fossil fuels. They also have chemicals like BPA and phthalates that harm children when they chew and suck on toys. These chemicals can contribute to cancer, birth defects, diabetes, blah, blah, blah. Every toy blown up to smithereens is a toy that doesn't need to go to the dump or ocean and damage our Earth. Every toy blown up is a toy that a child won't suck on and ingest chemicals from. Blow up the toys.
All right, I'm gonna.
Good job, Sid.
I agree with the sentiment here, but I have some issues, specifically with when you blow it up. At least in a landfill, it's all in one place, right? You're putting it directly into the environment we're living in around us, into, I would argue, much more digestible pieces of plastic for a child or an animal to accidentally eat.
Oh, but it's to smithereens. But he's blowing it to smithereens. Like, he blew up the military man and he disappeared.
What do you think smithereens
into thin
are?
air.
It's like small bits.
They went into the abyss.
And if they went
to
into
Neverland.
If they went into the abyss, it's because they burned up, and when you burn chemicals, it releases like the most toxic gas.
Well, it's just a symbol. It's just symbolic. I don't know.
All right, I think at best, maybe Sid is making a poor attempt at a political statement about the state of our environment and consumerism.
Yeah. I thought maybe you would have the same point because...
Yeah, I just, I don't know if the evidence is there that this was one of Sid's motivations, but
well, we can assume.
If anything, I would be more willing to buy the argument that Sid is like a social anarchist type and is like down with capitalism and consumerism, and that's why he's like refuses to play with the toys that are marketed and given to them, and that he chooses to blow them up as a act of anarchism against the consumerist culture that forces him to play with the standard set of toys made from other continents and shipped to the US. So one real thing I have to say about Sid, there's this moment in the movie that goes by so quick that I almost missed it. It's when Buzz Lightyear is strapped to a rocket ship. Sid has gone to bed for the night, and he's waiting for the next day because it's going to be a sunny day and he can shoot Buzz off into the sky. Anyways, the alarm goes off and Sid like wakes up. He's like waking up from a dream, and the words he is saying is, "I want to ride the pony," in his dream, which leads me to believe that he might have some kind of like suppressed, softer side to him. That like maybe all of this aggression and anger is a reaction or a compensation for something that he feels like he's had to tuck away, which is maybe this feeling that, you know, he wants to do the quote unquote girly thing and ride the pony, which is, you know, kind of a dumb, you know, gender stereotype. I went through a period where I was obsessed with horses for like 6 months.
Nice.
But anyway, I think it reveals a potential softer side that he's hiding away that only comes out in his dreams when he can't suppress it. And that, I think, is sad because it means there's pressure coming from somewhere in the outside world that's not allowing him to let that part of him out and express that side of him.
Yeah, I didn't even catch that. I think that's a good thing to notice.
He's very creative clearly. I think he's got that going for him.
Oh, yeah. I actually wrote down that I think he would be a great plastic surgeon. Might want to do that sometime in his life. I mean, when he's older and wiser, he won't put like toy heads on people, but
yeah. Speaking of surgery, one of my favorite, what I thought was one of the funniest lines in the film is Sid is performing an operation on one of the toys, and he's like role playing being a doctor, and Buzz and Andy are watching him, and Buzz is like, I do not believe that boy has a medical degree.
I do like that. Maybe someday, but
yeah, I wasn't thinking medical degree, but I was thinking like perhaps like engineering.
Oh, yeah.
Something where he gets to work with his hands and like solve problems, maybe challenge himself. I think he needs to be challenged intellectually. It seems like maybe he doesn't have an outlet for that.
That's a good point. He might be kind of bored, because nothing else is really stimulating him, so he's blowing up toys. Also, how does he have explosives anyway?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Isn't he 10?
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's clearly ordering them online because he's waiting for the box to show up. And then he pulls out the rocket, and on the side of the rocket it says, not for use by children or something like that.
Right, keep out of reach of children.
I was curious about his home life. I think his mom is often a voice in the background, but we never meet her. I don't think a father was ever referenced. Interesting, because Andy doesn't seem to have a father present either. I don't know if that means anything. Andy moved and everything, and the father was never there. He wasn't there for the move.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah.
So I thought that was
maybe he's a single mom.
Was an interesting choice. An interesting choice to make and then not bring up at all. Because that actually might be kind of a cool thing that they did, that they were sort of normalizing that, not making a big deal out of the fact that here was this what seemed to be a good, happy family with money.
Yeah.
Because they live in a nice house and have nice stuff.
That's true. And they get Buzz Lightyear, who, by the way, was way funnier than I remembered him.
Yeah, this movie was overall way better. And I noticed, which I never knew, that a couple of I think there was 3 main writers. One of them was Joss Whedon, and another one was Joel Cohen of the Coen brothers.
Oh, yes.
And
I didn't know that.
And both of those guys are, well-known, great writers. But, the
Right.
Coen brothers, not on style for either of them. Joss Whedon's kind of in the sci-fi world a lot. He did Buffy the Vampire Slayer, that series.
Yeah.
And I think he directed 1 or 2 of the Marvel films as well. And Joel Cohen, Fargo, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? So interesting that they wrote for Toy Story.
Yeah.
But I think that...
Yeah, I'm glad they did.
Yeah, probably one of the reasons that the story is so good.
Right. I have a question.
Yes.
It's actually a 3-part question.
Okay.
So it's really essay-based. You have to be very anxious about it. I'm just kidding. If you were a toy, what toy would you be? How do you relate to that toy? And would you be okay with being blown up by Sid if you were that toy?
So let me start in reverse with the last question first. Would I be okay with being blown up by Sid? I mean, the obvious answer is no. Why would I be okay with being blown up? But also, I am a believer that toys are not sentient.
So you wouldn't be you. You would just be plastic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't blame...
But let's say toys are sentient. I don't know.
I guess, does Sid know that I'm sentient in this scenario?
No.
Then I think conceptually I'm okay with the fact that he's blowing me up. I'm not okay with it because I'm a toy and I want to live, but I am at peace with the idea that he has...
Of dying?
Well, I'm at peace with the fact that he's not doing any wrong to me because I, as far as he's aware, am just a piece of plastic, and he has no reason to believe that I have any sort of thoughts or feelings or emotions. And so he's not doing anything wrong. And as a toy, I guess that's just my fate. And sometimes you just have to give in to what the world gives you, I think.
Wow.
Maybe.
Wow, you're very at peace.
Yeah. What toy would I be? I like to think I'd be something like... There was the toys that I had growing up, Connects. Are you familiar with?
Describe them.
Well, they're like Lego in that they're a bunch of different pieces and types of pieces that you can connect together. But they were more like rods of different length and then like connector pieces so they could go off in different directions. You could build like roller coasters or whatever you wanted out of them. They were a big part of my childhood. I used to build, there were like these ball machines where it would like, a little motor would like carry the ball to the top and then it would roll down in all different directions.
Yeah, it's coming back to me.
Yeah. So I think that's what I would be, because it's able to be so many different things, and I find myself pulled in all sorts of different directions because I get excited about one thing and then I want to do that thing and then I get excited about something else. So I dabble in a lot of different areas. And so like the connects, I'm able to like reassemble myself in different ways to accomplish different things, I guess.
That's cool.
What about you with those three questions? What toy would you be, why, and would you be okay with being blown up? Also, a connect structure being blown up would be cool because it would really explode and break apart. It would look awesome.
Right. It would probably hit some people in the face.
Yeah.
So I looked up a list of Barbies, like different types of Barbies with different jobs. Because I knew I would be a Barbie, but I didn't know what job I'd have.
Huh.
And there was a cat burglar Barbie. And I was like, wow, there's a cat burglar Barbie. But I couldn't tell if like she steals cats. Like she is a burglar who steals cats and that's why she's a cat burglar Barbie. Or if it's Mattel trying not to do any harm to copyright and it's like a Catwoman Barbie.
She like dresses like a cat and she burglarizes.
Yes.
Well, which one would you want to be?
Both? Well, I would dress up as a cat. Well, I would be a Barbie dressed as a cat with cat ears, and then I would steal cats. And of course, I would be a Barbie because they're the hottest toys in the toy community. They're probably one of the most...
like attractive or hot like?
They shouldn't get burnt. That would be bad. They would melt.
Hot like attractive or hot like popular was...
Yeah, or both. Hot, attractive, and popular. So they are the most prestigious in the toy community because we know that the toy community, they operate in hierarchies and they are elitist.
And you see yourself as the top of the food chain.
At the top, yeah. If I can't be that in real life, then I might as well be that in the toy community.
It's aspirational.
Yeah, and all the Woodies would want to do me.
I think you want to be Bo Peep.
Oh, okay. Bo Peep.
I mean, just if you want to catch Woody's eye, I think.
That's okay. All the Buzz Lightyears would want to tap that. But I would unfortunately steal cats from people.
Yeah, but you would take care of them, right?
Sure. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would. But someone could have already been taking care of their own cat. But then I just break into their house and I just take the cat from their living room and is like, bye-bye. Which wouldn't be very nice, but it's certainly something I would consider doing if I were a toy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing something bad. So I'm already evil. So I would accept being blown up by Sid because in this instance, he's like a judge. He is Judgment Day for the toys.
He's like
a bad toy.
Like Scarecrow in Batman Begins when he's like running the court system and like
yes,
that's just the image I imagine. Certainly was not the nicest or fairest of judges.
Did he punish Catwoman?
I don't think so, but I think that's the connection my mind made. It was like Catwoman, Batman, Scarecrow, Judge.
Yeah. So that's my answer. I would be Catwoman Barbie who steals cats. And then her demise is that one day Sid is like, you're an evil Catwoman.
Yeah. All right. Do you have anything else to add about Sid?
One of my notes, a small comment that I made was, he is not wholesome. And I don't know where I was going to go with that, but I wrote it down. And that's okay. I don't know.
I think it is factual for sure. It is true.
It is true. It shall be said, you shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free. Sid is not wholesome.
Well, yeah, that's I guess that's a wrap on Sid.
Yeah.
I actually found that I really can't fault him too much. A little mean to his sister, but otherwise I think doing some interesting creative things.
He's doing some interesting things for sure.
Yes. Thank you all for listening. You may know that we have merchandise now. You can check that out by going to our website, or the link in our Instagram bio will lead you to our merchandise. We've got some cool magnets and shirts and stickers and coffee mugs and whatever you might be interested in, with some cool little designs. Also, you can now rate us on Spotify. Spotify has a new podcast rating area, so we encourage you to go on there. No longer do you only have to rate us on Apple Podcasts. You can do it on Spotify as well. And then, we're on all the Instagrams. We love all the Instagrams. We're on all the social media, Instagram, Twitter, occasionally TikTok, Facebook, all of those places. If you search for Next Door Villain, you'll find us. We're the only ones, I think. Maybe.
No, they could be next door.
Yep.
I tried. Thank you so much for listening. Follow us, rate us, love us, and have a good 2022.
Bye.
We're still here in 2022. We're not leaving. Just saying, it's a good whatever.
Yeah. All right.
I need to be blown up because I can't talk.
So. All right.